Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV and this is the Newsbreak. A Saket court in Delhi today held 4 men guilty of murder and offences under the stringent MCOCA in the 2008 Soumya Vishwanathan matter. 15 years ago, in September 2008, Soumya, who was a 25-year-old journalist then working with a TV channel, was shot dead in her car on Nelson Mandela Marg in South Delhi. She was coming back from work and it was slightly before dawn. The police initially struggled to identify her killers, but a breakthrough came about in 2009 when they were investigating the kidnapping and murder of BPO employee Jigisha Ghosh. One of the accused had then confessed to also being involved in Soumya's murder. But it took 14 more years for Soumya's family to get justice. The court will announce the quantum of sentence on October 26th. Soumya's family, her parents specifically, attended every hearing and every court where the case went. The father kept her mobile number functional to remind him of what he calls his duty to fight for justice for his daughter, his family. Despite the killers allegedly admitting to the crime, the prosecution took nearly 13 years to present all the evidence to the court. The case shook not just Delhi, but also the country and its women specifically, because even the Chief Minister then, late Sheila Dikshit, had cautioned women against being too adventurous and in some ways asked them to be responsible for their own safety. This brings us to the questions we ask tonight. The spontaneous anger and determination to bring criminals to justice is important, but shouldn't there be more support for families that have to spend years fighting for justice? Why did the Soumya Vishwanathan's murder case take so long to be solved and heard? What kind of shortcomings in our system does that expose? And third, most importantly, is Delhi today safer for women? What more is needed? And do we see ourselves as a society that understands that women are not responsible for the crimes against them? Let us first understand details about this case from my colleague Tanima Biswas, who has tracked this case very closely. Tanima, take us through the details of this case. How and when did the police finalize the charges? And why did the pace of hearings and investigations slow down?
Right. Vasudha, firstly, if we have to talk about how the police actually cracked this case, very interestingly, this case is intertwined with another case which took place with a murder of another young woman almost near the same location where Soumya was murdered. We're talking about the Jigisha Ghosh murder case, which took place actually in 2009, a year after the Soumya Vishwanathan murder case. But till then, Soumya Vishwanathan murder case was being dealt as a blind case by the police. But in 2009, when they managed to nab 4 people initially and then later on another accused was arrested in the Jigisha case, that is when the police actually found out that the same set of people were working as a gang and had in fact been involved in the Soumya Vishwanathan murder case as well. Because initially they were given to, it seemed like the circumstances of the case where, there were reports of a car actually chasing Soumya Vishwanathan's car. There was a headshot injury, of course. It seemed like there could have been, some sort of heated moment which took place between the inmates of both the cars. But later on, once the police actually arrested the people accused in the Jigisha murder case, they actually figured out that it was a robbery attempt which had gone wrong in the Soumya Vishwanathan murder case as well. And also, very importantly, Vasudha, the fact that all these 5 people were working together as a gang, which is why the stringent MCOCA Act was also slapped by the police in this particular case, and following which, of course, that particular act was added later on in the FIR. Now, as far as the prosecution and the entire trial process is concerned, why did it take 15 long years? Why did the family have to wait this long for justice? What we did see was that, as I mentioned, it took a year for them to figure out the people behind this case. 2009, they made the arrests. Later that year, the charge sheet was filed and the arguments actually started a year after, into 2010. But in 2016, 6 years after the trial process had actually begun, the prosecutor in this particular case changed. And following that, in 2016-17, when the change happened, they actually had another special public prosecutor was appointed, but he was very irregular in attending this case. So much so that Soumya's parents actually had to knock on the doors of Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal in order to intervene. 2 years later, they did that in 2019. And following that plea made by them, Kejriwal, of course, asked for another public prosecutor to be appointed in this case in which case the previous public prosecutor was once again brought back to handle the rest of the trial, and we saw that the final arguments actually took place only in September this year. So that actually details how it was a major ordeal for the family to actually wait for this long in order to see this conviction today.
Right. Thank you, Tanima, for taking us through the case and for all these details. We also have the mother of Soumya, Mrs. Madhavi Vishwanathan with us. Thank you very much, madam, for speaking to NDTV. I know, I just want to tell you
Yes.
that when this case happened, I had just started working, and my family and everybody, we had felt a lot for your family then. I'm just 2 years younger than your daughter, so it was a deeply personal case for all of us. I know it must be an emotional day for you and also a painful day, a reminder of what you went through. How do you see today's verdict, ma'am?
We are relieved, that's all I can say, because we have lost our daughter. We cannot get her back anyway. But we are relieved that the punishment that they have been convicted, because it will act as a deterrent to others. This.
Right, right, ma'am. And in the course of 15 years, I know that you have struggled a lot. There were many delays and challenges. Can you tell us how difficult was this struggle with the courts, with the police, or did the police make it easy for you? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It has been very traumatic. The police have been cooperative. Later on, we have not been in touch much with the police, but they have been very cooperative. But it was, we didn't know what the future held for us. We really did not know.
Right, right. So, ma'am, the sentencing is going to come about on October 26th. What do you expect?
We want life sentence for them. I don't know what they will.
Right. You think that would be justice, a life sentence?
Yes, because it's a life sentence for us now. We have lost our daughter. We are not going to get her back.
Yeah.
So why shouldn't they get life sentence?
Absolutely.
It should not be anything less than that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ma'am, I know this is a difficult question, but how did you and your husband get the strength to fight and struggle for all these years? And are there strong memories of Soumya that kept you going?
Yes, it is a strong memories. The family of Soumya's friends who have always been with us, who have always been with us.
Right, right. And
they have been a big support to us actually. Even from NDTV, Anusura stood with us all the time in the beginning.
Right, right. And how do you feel today, madam? Do you feel a partial victory, or how do you feel emotional? What do you, I mean, I know the tragedy of this is great, but what is the feeling that you have today, ma'am?
I'm sorry, victory and happiness are the words which has been completely obliterated from the dictionary of our lives.
Right.
That can never be there.
Right. Right, ma'am. My prayers to you and your family. And one last question, how did this change you as a family? Because I know trauma, tragedy changes families completely. You lost a young daughter and you had to fight for so many years to get justice. How did this change your family, yourselves? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It has changed us. Now we are alone. We thought at least if one daughter is abroad, the other will be somewhere there. And we'll have, but now we are alone here. Our life has been completely paralyzed.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And one last question. What is your advice to young women? Soumya was a working woman, and that was an inspiration to all of us, who were growing up then. So, what is your advice to women of the country? Today, everybody is watching you. So, what would you tell them?
I would tell them not to be frightened. Go on working just like men and women are equal. Now, they have to do it, This can happen to a boy also, but unfortunately, it happens more to women. But then a time has to come when, women should not be treated as someone who is just to listen. Like this person said, that Ravi Kapoor got annoyed because she was asked to stop the car and she didn't stop the car. And that's why he shot her.
Right, right, right. Right, ma'am. Thank you, Madhavi, ma'am. And thank you very much for speaking to NDTV. We also have the Special Commissioner of Police, Delhi HGS Dhaliwal with us. Thank you for speaking to NDTV, sir. It feels finally that justice has been delivered. How do you see this verdict after 15 long years of wait? Were you in touch with the family throughout? We were just speaking to Madhavi Vishwanathan, who is Soumya's mother. What kind of reassurances did you give them?
No, it is very satisfying to me personally also, and our entire team is very, very happy. We are really happy for the Vishwanathans. 15 years is a long time for trials and tribulations. And, though I can recount the entire thing as if it happened yesterday, 30th September 2008, it has been 15 years down the line. But I can tell you that, not only our entire team felt the pain, not for them, these just for Soumya's parents, but all the victims which, we have come across. We have always made it very, very critical that victim is always taken along. So in all our cases, even the Soumya case being case in point and present case, from the day she was murdered on 30th September 2008, early morning hours, to early months of 2009 when this case was detected, all those months, not a single day did go by when we did not meet with the family, and they would very transparently see the working which is happening. They will see the tasking of the team for the next 24 hours, and they will also see what they have done. And that is why they had so much faith. They knew that whatever is happening, there's nothing else which can be done in this case. That is why, even though they were given some options of getting case transferred to a central agency or some other specialized agency, they always said no. They said that we want a team of South Delhi Police to work on this case.
Mr. Dhaliwal, the delay in this case, from charging, from framing the charges to appointing a prosecutor to the pace of hearings that slowed down have been talked about. But what exactly were the challenges that the Delhi police faced, and do you think that the time of wait could have been brought down?
See, challenges were that, of course, you already summed it up, that there were no eyewitnesses to the incident. And in a sense, there was no physical contact between the two cars. The bullet was fired from a moving car with a country-made weapon. And the case was detected 5-6 months down the line. So all those were huge, huge challenges. But the circumstantial evidences which the team had collated, along with the application of MCOCA, which was also a very deliberated thing. So I think that all helped in ensuring that the court upholds those evidences.
Right. Mr. Dhaliwal, tell us about the accused here, because, we all know that they were part of an organized crime. There are also reports of one of them flashing a knife in the court to spraying chili powder. What kind of criminals were these, and how difficult was it to get their confessions?
See, Ravi Kapoor is a very tough and hardened. He had a long history of crimes, and he knew the entire working system of the law enforcement. And his other associates, Baljit and Amit and Ajay, they were also they were also indulging in various kinds of crime along with Ravi Kapoor. So they were tough nuts to crack.
Right. So my last question to you, this case happened 15 years ago. What are the major learnings for the Delhi police from this case, from its investigation?
See, Delhi police, of course, has, but this is more of a, I'm not dealing with law and order at the moment, but I can tell you that generally speaking, Delhi police is very, very, I would say, alert to any offences or any crimes in which women are victims. And street crime is, of course, one of the main focus areas for Delhi police. Though in a big metropolitan city, you can never rule out 100% that no crime will take place. As in this case also, it was just very, very incidental to the entire thing, in a sense that these people, they were on the prowl. They were looking for any victim that could have been any victim. And when they saw a girl going at a slow speed at 3:20 a.m. and they thought that she's vulnerable, they tried to chase and they tried to rob. And, during that, this crime was committed. So such a, one-off incident can never be ruled out. But I can say that Delhi, in spite of all this, is still one of the safer cities as far as violent crimes against women is concerned.
Thank you, Mr. Dhaliwal, for speaking to NDTV. We also have lawyer and social activist Abha Singh and women's rights activist and lawyer Flavia Agnes with us. Thank you, both of you, for speaking to NDTV. Ms. Agnes, let me come to you first. 15 years to get justice, from summons not being served to witnesses, delays in obtaining forensic reports, or even appointment of prosecutors. The wait, understandably, has been too long, and this was among the most followed cases. What kind of shortcomings does this bring out about a system, specifically when it comes to crimes against women?
There's nothing specific about crimes against women. This happens to all the cases, including crimes against women. The system is not working, and there's so many gaps here. But I find the lacuna with the public prosecutor most glaring, because the public prosecutor was appointed, but he was not regular. Then they had to change the prosecutor, they had to approach the chief minister, get another appointment, etc. And this is one of the major faults with the system that I can see here. And I think all crimes, not just crimes against women, there has to be a timeline in which it has to be decided. It cannot be 15 years, after 15 years, for 15 years you wait for justice and then the verdict comes. Because according to me, justice delayed is almost like justice negated. So you're not getting justice, and the parents of the girl are waiting so long and following this case day after day, month after month, year after year for 15 years. And that's not justice, according to me.
Right. Ms. Singh, when cases get delayed, it's only understandable that it favors the accused and crucial evidence gets lost, eyewitnesses turn hostile. And like Ms. Agnes was also pointing out, when the public prosecutor appointment is delayed, there are more chances that the investigation gets derailed. What do you think could have helped reduce the wait time here, and what are the shortcomings that this case exposes?
As they said that there were no witnesses. It was at such an hour when this crime took place, there were no witnesses. Only when Jigisha's murder took place, like the BPO employee in Faridabad, these people were arrested, and one of them said that Ravi Kapoor and Amit Shukla were also involved in the other murder which happened in, that is Soumya's case. So this is where the police problem comes in, but I'm aghast that what worries me more is that in a posh area of South Delhi, such crime happens, and okay, it has been delayed, but at least the trial court in this case have given death penalty, which after 1 year, the Delhi High Court has reduced it to life imprisonment. So I feel the likes of Ravi Kapoor and Shukla, they should have been hung, to be hung by the neck, as it was said by the trial court. Why did Delhi High Court show such magnanimity? Because tomorrow, if they are there for life imprisonment and something happens like Bilkis Bano case, or somewhere remission is given, they come out, do you not think that they will commit murder again? Ravi Kapoor, as you were also saying, he took out a knife. He showed a knife to a cop, tried to throw chilies and escape. So such criminals should not be shown any mercy. And I think in this case, when the quantum of punishment is given on Friday, it should be death penalty, to be hung by the neck. It is necessary to give a message to all the criminals, because as it has taken 15 years. After 15 years, if a justice is done, then it should be strong enough to convey a message and to deter all the anti-criminal, anti-social elements, these criminals, that if you're going to do a crime like this, you are going to the gallows. So that is what I feel, because it's not easy to get conviction. Here the police put MCOCA only after the Jigisha murder case, because they found that this was a gang which was active not only in Delhi but also in Faridabad, and it was Faridabad police which arrested those 3 people. So how can a gang like this operate in the capital of Delhi? So that is very important. That such crime should not happen. The CRPC very clearly says, the IPC, the fundamental duty of the police is to stop a crime from happening. So now when this punishment comes, it should act as a deterrence, because criminal justice system is not only reformatory, it is deterrence. And deterrence will come when the likes of Ravi Kapoor and Amit Shukla are hung by the neck as the trial court ordered and not shown any mercy.
Right. Ms. Agnes, would you agree with that observation and comment by Ms. Singh that a death penalty would probably deter criminals more than convictions, a life sentence or anything else?
I'm not for death penalty, so I wouldn't endorse that, because as a rule, in every case, I am against death penalty. But I agree that severe punishment should be given. As Soumya's own mother has said, life imprisonment will be adequate according to her. But I agree with Ms. Singh that if there is a remission, then what is to be done? If these guys are let down, then what is to be done? These are real concerns. And to avoid that there should be death penalty is not something I endorse.
Right. Ms. Agnes, one question to you. Every now and then we keep hearing of families having to struggle for years to get justice. The process itself becomes punishment. Many families may not even have resources to pursue justice. So what kind of support is available for them, or is there none?
Actually, in a criminal case, it is the police duty. The family has followed up this case, but it is not their duty to follow up. It is the duty of the state to follow up this case. And if there is a delay, it is squarely their problem and their responsibility. Why there was so much delay? Why the public prosecutor was not efficient? Why was he not attending the court in such an important case? These are all very important questions for the state. And the state should admit its own faults. At the end, conviction happened, but that's a fluke. It could well have not happened. And because of the public pressure and because of this high-profile case, it ended in conviction. But such long delays usually result in the acquittal of the accused. So one has to be very cautious, and there has to be a deterrent punishment, because otherwise these guys will go scot-free, and that should not be allowed to happen.
Right. Ms. Singh, I was looking at some NCRB data. How big is the issue of low conviction in IPC crimes? Do you see this as a big challenge in deterring crimes?
Absolutely. If you see the NCRB figures, in rape case, conviction is barely 29%. Murder is, say, 40%. So if 60% of the criminals are going to go scot-free, then how will there be deterrence? In fact, there have been cases where these rapists and murderers have come out on parole and committed the same crime again. So I think 100% conviction plus, if not 100, at least 90% conviction and a speedy justice system. Not 15 years, because they are sitting happily. In fact, I was going through the case and I saw that in 2009. In fact, in 2019, one of the accused, Malik, only submitted an application to the Delhi High Court that the trial be expedited. I mean, I feel like laughing that the accused who are sitting in the jail happily are coming out and saying that, oh, expedite the trial. So even if you say that the public prosecutor was not there in MCOCA, it is the government, it is the prosecution which has to prove the foolproof case. You could not get hold of the prosecution witness. This is what it happens everywhere. And that is why with impunity, rapes are happening. I mean, every 45 minutes a rape happens. Delhi is called the rape capital of the country. You have murders happening, even for a little water crisis or, for a piece of land, families have been wiped out. So I think not only conviction, but, prosecution witness. A lot of prosecution turn hostile. Maybe that is why the prosecution were not coming, prosecution witness for 13 years were unable to come. And so I think we don't have a proper witness protection scheme in this country. We don't protect the victims. So unless and until we have ensure that victim does not turn hostile and the witnesses are given protection, 100% conviction is very difficult. And that is why people have been committing crime again and again.
Right,
So
right.
definitely something needs to be done of the criminal justice system.
Right, right. Thank you, Ms. Singh, and thank you, Ms. Agnes, for speaking to NDTV. So that was our panel on the verdict on Soumya Vishwanathan's murder. There's finally some justice for the family, but also lessons for our law and policy makers on making the criminal justice system better for women, specifically for the families of victims. Thank you very much for watching NDTV. Stay tuned for more news and updates.